Good afternoon from Bali, everyone. It's Hanifa Menon from hearthealthbrainhealth.com, encouraging healthy grieving and mindful actions. Today, I wanted to talk about a big concept that's been on my mind for quite some time, and it is related to both our personal and professional lives, but I'm going to focus on professional lives for this video. So this video, I want to talk about loopholes and legalities that encourage lies. Loopholes and legalities that encourage lies. And we can see that if we have a loophole for a lie, some people will take advantage of that on a personal level. So we know this, and like I said, this video is more about the professional level. So loopholes, I thought I'd start with this quotation to start getting your mind reflecting on these. This quotation is by Ludwig van Mises, and it says, "What is a loophole? If the law does not punish a definite action or does not tax a definite thing, this is not a loophole. This is simply the law. It is simply the law." This is the thing. If it does not punish a definite action or it does not tax a definite thing, that's not a loophole. It's simply the law. And this is how we've become so upside down in our thinking in society, and this idea of it's simply the law, it's until it's written as this is the law, if this is not right, that we forget that some things are not right. And a mere conscience can help people understand this. And again, I wanted to talk about workforce and how this is contributing to what's happening in the world right now, in terms of when we look at whether it's mental health concerns, when we look at high employee turnover, we look at breakdowns, we look at illness. All of this is happening because of this baseline consistent action that's happening all over the world. And I'm in Bali right now, and I've seen this in Canada too. But I can say that this is actually also matching the time of my life experience too. Here I am thinking about coming back to Canada, but I'm not stuck on Canada. I'm so happy in Bali, and I'm definitely looking at international opportunities too. And if you have looked at any job opportunities today, and perhaps you're someone who is writing job opportunities to post on websites for hiring someone, so this is of course directed towards hiring managers or HR departments, because HR is going to see a lot of the new or old employees, or long-term or short-term employees. And then they will also be seeing some of the emotional effects that are happening on employees, whether they're new or long-term employees. And so this quotation seemed very fitting to me because, again, I think we're understanding that this whole mental health concern is growing in the world, and it is here as well as there and everywhere really. I haven't come across a single place that I don't see this as a central concern, and many people might link it to COVID, or might link it with changing stock markets or different financial expenses today, that, as we know, that expenses just keep on increasing for everyone in every country. And then I think about, okay, what is some of the root that is leading to this? And this quotation came up that I thought was very fitting. Here's one of the things that we're doing that I'd like to bring some attention to. This quotation is by Richard Branson, and it says, "Clients do not come first, employees come first. If you take care of your employees, they will take care of the clients. Take care of your employees and they will take care of the clients." And whether you look at small business or really large businesses, you'll see that there are surveys from employees, former employees, current employees, and we can see that there's a lot of less than satisfactory feelings or satisfied employees that are coming through various workplaces. And it's not just the occasional sprinkling, because we've always had some people who are very satisfied with what work they're doing and some people who are very not satisfied. And then we think that, okay, but it depends on the state of the person's mind, if they're already pretty balanced in their own mind. So we start looking at emotional intelligence, of how can a person assess and be mindful about their own emotions or their actions or their thoughts and all of that. And then we can have that extra resource. So now we already know that, okay, the mental health is a big concern. And we're not really thinking about employees coming first still. We think, oh, okay, we're hiring people who have gone through not so easy times. And then we are noticing that people in our company right now are not going through easy times because they're aging, or because families are aging, or because children are growing up in their own homes and various concerns are coming up. So what we do is we add in another department. Here's the health department, here's the nurse that we have on staff, here's the mental health professional that can work with people to help them. But we're not really looking at the root of what's leading to this. So we come back to workplace. What do we do? What do you do? If you are a hiring manager or you are in HR, do you look at some of the job descriptions? Now, remember, I'm talking about legalities and loopholes and how it's affecting the workplace. We look at job descriptions today, and there is a whole slew of this is what the job opportunity is, and even more of this is what the expectations are from this role. And if you look at that, it is not a reasonable amount for any one individual to carry. When we look at it logically, we understand this. And you know, the last video I talked about that we can have lots of statements of, yes, I would like this and this and this, and the next employee that we hire should have all of this. And why am I writing it? Because if they don't do one of those things, there's a legal implication. That if I want to let that employee go, I will say, oh, you know what? Number 2 of 100 things that I had on the job application, the job post, is something that you agreed to, and you haven't done number 2. You might have done 98, but it doesn't matter. 98 things that you're doing, number 2 was missing, and so I'm sorry, we have to let you go. But we're just looking for the loophole to be able to let go of an employee who's doing really well. Like I said, if this person is doing 98% of what they're doing, and then number 2, okay, so 1 out of 100 things that they're not doing, so let's say they're doing 99% of what they were hired for. We also know that that was such an unreasonable expectation that either at the back of the hiring manager's mind or the person who is actually writing the description for this is what is needed, it's a wish list. It's a wish list. And yet when we look at it, it's not reasonable. And this has been happening for so many years. I remember many years ago thinking, wow, each person that would come to me that was working at any place was literally doing the job of at least 5 people, maybe 8 to 10 people. And they were slowly but surely breaking down. And so I might see them along the path, or I might see after they have broken down with a significant diagnosis. And we already know this, where we write the statements that no, this is what we want. And so we can recycle those employees like nothing, right? We can say that, okay, we get out. Oh, you've got a little bit of insurance, and we'll provide some insurance too. Here's some sick pay if you need to take days off of work, and all of that, all with this prior awareness that this is too much to put onto one person. And what do we do to change it? And this is interesting. I came across this quotation, which I love. It says, and again, I don't have an author for this one, but it says, if it isn't broken, take it apart and fix it anyway. If it isn't broken, take it apart and fix it anyways. We do not have to wait to see that, wow, 50% of the employees in this office have become sick. And oftentimes those stats aren't even put out into the public awareness. We might see that there's a lot of turnover. Wow, there's a lot of turnover in this company and that company and that company and many companies. And we're seeing this. And then each employee is afraid of saying that I'm not satisfied with this, because of course the employer will say, well, you agreed to do this, and why would you be not satisfied? Because it's not reasonable. And why didn't you say that at the interview? Because I really needed the job. And this is the vicious cycle we have created and are continuing to act like we don't see. Now when we're seeing so much mental health concern coming up, we can recognize that we need to start from the beginning. And of course, I talk about education. In education, we're doing the same thing, that each teacher is told, this is how much, these are your course objectives. You can even make the objectives, but all of this has to be covered. So check off the boxes. This is what needs to be covered for this year, this school, or this course. And it's a lot. And then so students become the memorizers, and we're not computers, yet we're so used to that speed and that amount of processing that can happen through a computer that we're expecting it from humans. And of course they've got the tools of the computer, so they don't even have to think for themselves. So then we're encouraging lying, that oh yes, I did this, and yet we know that this is all received, or a lot is received from AI tools now. And some even jobs will even say that, have you used an AI tool for this? And they want that. Don't use your own mind. And this is what we're losing, is the ability to use our own mind, where we lose honest thinking, honest, compassionate, loving thinking and appreciation for each individual. And if I'm hiring a person, I want to care for that individual. That person is going to be an employee. I cannot be thinking about, and how many clients will you be able to bring to our work, whether it's healthcare, hospitality, or any other industry today, including education. Because so many schools, universities, colleges are looking at, do we have enough students, or we've got way too many students. And so those are numbers, and it's nothing about, is everyone okay who's doing this work? So the teachers are breaking down, employees of all sorts are breaking down. We know this mental health experience is increasing. Then we put the Band-Aid on it, just go see this counselor for, you're covered for 5 hours, so that should be enough. And even that, we have a full awareness that any of us that have gone through something significant in life, we would know that these limited numbers of hours to work through health concerns is not sufficient. And then what do? Well, I can only afford one person, so I've just got to make sure that they can do the amount of 10 people. We're not robots. Let's not forget this humanitarian appreciation of truth about our own limitations, of our own human resources, literally human resources. Please think about this. Recognize and bring it up in your company, because just because it's always been done doesn't mean that it's right. And when we're seeing the results of what's happening that's not right, where so many are breaking down, chronic illness is increasing, old age homes are increasing in their numbers, and everyone at home is also struggling in their own sorts of ways. And this is not new, it's just that the populations are growing. And yes, we're not looking at the root of the concerns to deal with each other lovingly and compassionately right from the beginning, right from the start of hiring an employee to work at, whether a school or an organization. Have the compassion for how much can a person handle, and am I allowing them to be the best at this work? Because when they're the best at the work that they're doing, every client, every student, every customer feels the best from the experience. This is something that I strongly encourage. I was so happy to come across this other quotation that is actually, it's from the United Workers Union from Australia, which I have never heard about before, but I am familiar with unions. And I can tell you, I know unions in Ontario, Canada, and unions often also have many varieties of people, as we all do. The microcosm of the macrocosm. Some people who will take advantage of something good, that, if something goes not so good, someone's got my back. And yes, if there's any disrespect, they can go through the process of fighting that legally for the actual written documentation of, this is what's happening, I'm being harassed, in whichever way. Yet, there's also many people who just slide under the radar with those details, and some who just quit work because they know it's just not worth fighting, and I don't have the time or the money or the energy to fight this. So even unions who actually come from a very compassionate place in their creation sometimes change because of the people that are actually working and doing the work. And unless we're coming from a full heart, we can't do the work. So this quotation was really nice. It seems like they've got this whole series of this idea of closing the loophole, which again, great in link with what I'm talking about right now, loopholes and legalities. This one is the right to disconnect that they were talking about. They say workers can now switch off outside work hours without fear of repercussions. Workers can now switch off outside work hours without fear of repercussions. And I can tell you, years ago, I heard about how many nurses suddenly had to carry their cell phones on their off hours. So they might have worked 12 hours, but they have to carry their cell phone and keep it on because it's a separate cell phone that's provided by the hospital now. And they have to keep it on because if they suddenly need a quick fill in, that's the nurse that's going to be called, or a nurse will be called. And if those phones are off, there were repercussions. People either lost their jobs or they lost the number of hours that they could work, and so many different things. And I'm just looking at one category. Today, to see this, it's such a beautiful thing. Now, do you know how many private institutions would not have this right to disconnect? They haven't given it to themselves, And clients won't give that right to them because they expect that, well, I'm paying for this, so I get this. And we have forgotten that the service provider needs time and space for their own healing too, to be the best energy to help each person that is in their care. Today, I'm bringing our focus to loopholes and legalities, and I'd love for you to reflect on that and see if you can close some of those loopholes that you're working with. I wish you a fantastic day or night ahead, and I hope you remember, transform your mind and transform your life. Have a great day or night, everyone.